In this video, I'll try to answer the most common questions related to War Thunder that you asked under my post. My favorite vehicles, the most effective way to farm, speculations on the future of War Thunder, why I research vehicles despite getting everything I want from Gaijin, and so on. Many people asked, what are my favorite vehicles? I do not have favorite vehicles for that simple reason that I'll get bored very quickly, but usually I enjoy playing something that has a good firepower. For example, BMP-1 with fast reloading heat rounds and missile launcher, or French F4U-7 with 114 rockets that's enough to last for a whole battle. While the opposite, most disliked vehicles are those that are ineffective or annoying because of their design. For example, British Archer that has a cannon facing backwards, or various vehicles with launchers that fold when moving. Any vehicle that lacks penetration, such as Weasel, or something painfully slow like T-95. For planes, it's everything that's big and unmaneuverable. For example, the Italian plane with 102mm cannon that is too slow and doesn't turn well to be fun in realistic ground battles. Some of you noticed that I am unlocking vehicles and wondering what I already have. So first of all, why I don't just buy everything? Because the game developers support content creators like me with currency and vehicles. The reason is, as someone who is used to grinding in MMORPGs, I still need that dopamine boost every time a new vehicle is researched or purchased. Even despite I can get pretty much everything from Gaijin, to keep myself interested in every regular battle, I don't use Golden Eagles to research vehicles or buy Silver Lions. Just like most of practical people here, I am researching a bunch of vehicles and waiting for sales to buy them with a discount. I hope this helps me to relate with average players, since the majority of you don't have aced crews and don't spend Golden Eagles on upgrades. But the main reason is dopamine. I don't punish myself too much though. I do use premium subscription, and if it gets too grindy, I can use premium vehicles or buy talismans. Next is a very common problem: how not to feel miserable when up-tiered. As a rule of thumb, everything that has significantly more penetration than most tanks at that battle rating can feel comfortable when up-tiered. Usually these vehicles are SPGs, such as ZIS-30, Waffenträger, M10 GMC, and so on. Usually such vehicles have serious downsides, such as less armor or mobility. But when up-tiered, vehicle's penetration is the most important factor affecting how the vehicle feels. Though don't forget that it works both ways. When you play on top of the list with such vehicle, it doesn't feel more powerful. Regarding decals and decorations, I use realistic settings to filter any fictional camouflages or attachables that might be distracting, so I don't have a favorite decal. But there are interesting decorations. It's these shining things, which are totally unrealistic. I never use them, they are very harmful in battles because you become more visible, but at the same time their light interacts with the vehicle, so it's not just a texture of a different color, but something that feels more alive. You asked me how to grind more effectively. The best grinding tip is to play the vehicles you are good at. More frags, more rewards. And use your boosters and wagers effectively. For example, use a full lineup of vehicles when activating boosters, or use wagers in a smart way. Like 10 kills wager is much easier to complete using a lineup with as many third tier planes as possible in arcade than getting the same 10 kills in ground arcade. Or the best squad wager is way easier to complete with full squad of 4 players. You also want to know how to spend money wisely. If you play War Thunder daily, there is nothing better than premium account. This is the most universal boost to every nation in every tier planes, tanks, ships, helicopters, and applies to silver lions and research points, both when unlocking new vehicles and upgrading those you already have. The only downside is you have to be an active player. The more you play, the more value premium account provides. Premium vehicles are also nice and they last forever, but your research will be limited to one type of vehicles in single nation. And eventually it might become boring to play the same vehicle all the time. As for non-grind related purchases, I'd prioritize everything you cannot unlock in-game, such as additional crew slots and at least couple of bushes decorations for tank players. Another viewer says, "Hi, I spent all my savings to buy things at the Gaijin store using your discount code. I am homeless now, but I see no problem with that, as long as you get a bit richer. My question is, should I sell my kidney?" First of all, I want to say thank you. This viewer is exactly what every human being should strive to become. I want to encourage everyone to behave like this noble person who has a very decent goal of giving me all his money. To answer your question, you should definitely sell that kidney, since you have 2 of them anyway. There were few questions regarding naval battles. Do I play them? Instantly followed by why not? I almost never play naval. We already have ground battles, which in my opinion have more action, so there is no reason for me to play naval with their slow gameplay when you see all opponents and cannot experience that amazing feeling when you sneak behind enemy lines and no one knows where you are. Also, when flying planes, I like to be able to get as close to opponents as possible, because then the fight feels more intense for me, which in naval is hardly possible due to how many anti-aircraft weapons ships usually have. When I do play naval, it's starting vessels in Blue Water Fleet, where gameplay feels faster and more active. Of course, the topic of close air support in ground battles arose. Since the beginning of mixed battles in War Thunder, people were always debating if they are balanced. As someone who likes planes, I will not be able to give you an unbiased answer. CAS is one of the reasons I like this game. I'll just notice that the balance between tanks and aircraft is very inconsistent. It's one thing to play low BR planes and different when SPAs have radars or even missiles. Also, we do have helicopters and drones in top tiers, which messes things up so much that I don't even know anymore what's OP and what's underperforming. Also, people want to know about complex game mechanics. As someone who almost doesn't play top tier, I can say with confidence that Gaijin added so many mechanics related to radars, various missiles and so on that it's me who needs a guide to understand all of them. And a second keyboard to bind all the controls. Many people asked about what I think of the current state of War Thunder, which has a simple answer. I enjoy the game. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't be playing it. But I feel like most people asking this question are wondering about the game's future. Is it worth investing your time and money into it? I'm not the smartest person to predict future, but here are my speculations. The developers started with Second World War vehicles, and by now we have modern vehicles in game. So going forward in timeline will not be possible quite soon. And copy-pasting similar vehicles from one nation to another won't keep players engaged. This means that they will have to introduce new experimental vehicles or shift their focus to new mechanics or game modes, such as remaking the World War mode that no one seems to care about. Whatever happens next, Gaijin proved that they can keep up with time. The game even started to gain back some popularity lately, while other similar games were losing it. It doesn't mean that the game won't change, it might eventually become something completely different than what we play now, and people who like today's gameplay might not like the future and they will stop playing. But it works both ways. Players who don't like current state of the game might like the changes. As someone who keeps getting back to War Thunder during all these years, I remain quite optimistic. Especially given that the game engine that War Thunder is using is being developed by Gaijin themselves, so they can make radical changes if necessary to stay relevant. Regarding the channel, I will try to keep stable schedule of War Thunder reviews and not disappear for a year like last time. It might mean releasing a video every 2 years, or it might mean releasing video every 2 weeks or even less often to avoid burnout, but at the same time you might find new uploads on that other, totally unrelated channel. And finally, if I was a developer, would I make the game better? No, I would make it worse to make you all suffer. Thanks for asking those questions. If you want answers to more specific questions that were not included in this video, check the channel's community tab. Regarding more personal questions like who I am and why I started a YouTube, there will be a separate video later.